And I do believe it's also my moral, my personal moral position, because I want in the future, in 10 years or 20 years, to remember that I did ask the hard questions, I did answer the hard questions, and I did state the important things. Everyone is saying no to peace except us. And this should tell you something, guys. We are so sure about our position as a government in this nation. We are so sure about the political desires of this nation that we are prepared now and here to have a full inclusive political process in which no one is excluded. You see, everyone likes this, no one is excluded, everyone is included. But then they come and say, oh, Gaddafi has to be excluded, or his regime, or his... And this is our, when we say, who are you? Who are you? Whether you are a journalist, European official, American official, a general of the mightiest armies of the world, a pilot bombarding us from the sky, a rebel destroying your own country, who are you to say to the Libyan nation, you cannot choose Muammar Gaddafi, or you cannot choose his regime, as you call them? Is the democracy inclusiveness? To have everyone stand an equal chance? These questions do not get asked to the other parties. I do follow the news, guys. These questions, Cameron, I watched Sarkozy, I watched Obama come out with a brave face and say, Gaddafi has no political future in Libya. And he would be sitting in front of 40, 60, 70 journalists, and none of them has the professionalism or the decency to raise their hand and say, excuse me, Mr. President, who are you to decide this for the Libyans? I watch in horror, I do. I'm talking to you now, human to human, okay? I watch in horror, I say, okay, someone is gonna say it. Someone is gonna say, who are you? What legitimacy do you have to say Gaddafi has no future in Libya? Libyans, whether they are rebels, whether they are citizens, whether they are in the east, in the west, whether they are pro-government, whether they are anti-government, they all should be included in a transparent, democratic, political process. Now, if you hate Gaddafi so much that you are prepared to bombard the whole country and kill thousands of soldiers and civilians, and get the country down to its knees, to get rid of one man, if you have no moral center that would prevent you from doing this, if you have no sense of genuine civilization, genuine humanity to prevent you from doing this, and you have the power to do it, and you are doing it, then we as Libyans have no other choice but to fight on and fight on. We have lost thousands of people, civilians and soldiers, and we are not going to give up now. We are going to dignify their blood. We are going to dignify their sacrifices. Our brothers and sisters have died because of the aggression of NATO and because of the destruction led by the armed rebellion. Every Libyan family, every Libyan tribe has its martyrs. Some of them are children, some are men, some are women. Here to all of us, we are parents, we are fathers, we are mothers, we are sisters and brothers. But above all, we are humans with moral values, and we are prepared to fight so the future generations will not look back at us and think that we were cowards. We are not fighting because we are holding dear to wealth or power. Those who are holding dear to wealth and power have escaped the country and joined NATO or the rebellion. If you see the picture, some people think, we are the weak party. And you saw the rich and powerful and the ministers and the corrupt ones, and they have escaped. They have joined NATO. They are now sitting in Rome. They are sitting in Paris. They are sitting in New York, plotting against their own country. People who are still here are the brave ones. They are the moral ones. Again, about asking hard questions. Now we all know the cluster bombs of Misrata. I remember the days when everyone, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the UN, the list is so huge, when everyone was attacking us for using cluster bombs in Misrata. And people who were sitting here, who were not intelligent enough, I have these people here. They were sitting here and saying, evidence of cluster bombs were found in Misrata. As a government, of course, we never denied or confirmed that maybe there were evidence of cluster bombs in Misrata. But the question, of course, always remained, who used them? Since you have three parties involved, the government of Libya, the rebels, and NATO. Of course, people who again have the preconceptions and the hatred against Gaddafi and against Gaddafi's Libya, they just immediately assumed it's Gaddafi's forces, it's the government that used cluster bombs. No proof whatsoever, no evidence. Human Rights Watch condemned us, Amnesty International attacked us, the UN attacked us, and now it comes out it's NATO that used it. Read the reports, yes, now human rights investigation. Of course, we know very well that NATO used cluster bombs in Kosovo. They have a history of using, so it's not like they are too moral to use it. It's not like they are too civilized to use it. They have used it before. The BBC reported that it's believed that 20,000 cluster bombs are still scattered around Kosovo, not taken out of the area of the region, without anyone caring enough to actually get rid of these cluster bombs. Human rights investigation with many other organizations. For those of you who are interested, I'm preparing a file about the case. Now they are confirming that NATO used cluster bombs in Misrata. We are following this issue up, and once we gather enough information, we have quite enough, rather enough information right now, but in the next 2 days we believe we will have more information, and we will provide you with the file. I have a few links here and a few independent international bodies with experts who assert that NATO used cluster bombs. Of course, for those of you who do not know, people like Bill Gates have said before, I wonder if I can find the exact quote. يا فوزي في الورقة اللي طبعت لي بتاعت الانترنت اللي فيها مواقع الانترنت weapon with benefit that we should and need to use. And we all know that the American position on cluster bombs has been quite aggressive. So when journalists attacked us, the international media attacked us for almost a month that we use cluster bombs, and international organizations attacked us without any proof, and we did, again, asked for experts to come and judge. No one, of course, came, no one cared, but still we were accused and we were dealt with as if we have indeed used cluster bombs. And now it's emerging that it's NATO, and we will follow it up. The same thing with weapons smuggling. Again, we were accused of smuggling and importing weapons from neighboring countries, and that we were using African mercenaries, and that Chad was involved, and Niger was involved. Accusations, accusations, accusations. And of course, the accusations always take big space in international media. But when the government of Chad absolutely says, no, this is not the case, we are observing our borders with Libya, there is no smuggling of weapons whatsoever, the Libyan government is not using any of our weapons, no one cares about that, no one actually even reports what Chad is saying, because of course Chad is a little African country that no one cares about. The same thing with Niger says that, the same thing when Algeria says that. Now, it's been confirmed. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you saw that report, was it from France 24, I think, that showed, it was almost a 10-minute video with the correspondence of that channel with NATO vessel. They caught a boat going from Benghazi to Misrata with weapons imported into Misrata. They stopped them, searched them, found the load of weapons. They phoned back or called back their command center in Europe, and they said to them, let them go. And they went into Misrata to kill more people and cause destruction. Everyone knows that NATO is not responding, is not acting within the limits of the international law and or the Security Council resolutions. Now, the NATO is saying, was it Rasmussen who said, we are getting closer to our goal of toppling Gaddafi. I mean, come on, as journalists, you should, and he said this again, and no one asked him the hard questions. No one said to him, what right do you have to topple and regard toppling Gaddafi as your goal? Your goal is to protect civilians. When did it change that your goal now is to get rid of Gaddafi? The hard questions are not being asked because they embarrass NATO and European governments morally and legally, and because many journalists, they have this, they have this idea that, yeah, he should go. Okay, so I'm not gonna really bother too much about this. Professionalism goes against that. Do not regard yourself as a knower of the truth and knower for what is good for the Libyan people. Let Libyan people decide. I'm gonna be short now. We have we are going to try to give you the figures of casualties that take place every day from now on. But so far, from the 19th of March 2011, تاريخ كم اليوم هو؟ 30 31 نعم. From the 19th of March 2011 to the 26th of May, to injured people, and these are, I'm not sure how to describe them in English, but like real injuries, because many people, of course, just get very, very small injuries and they don't even stay in hospital even for like half an hour. But these are like real injuries, the real wounds. Some of these, just a second please. So 4,067 injured in the attacks. Amongst them are 433, that's 433 serious injuries. That would involve amputation or real harms to the head or